Thumbcoast TV and WGRT bring you St. Clair County at the Mackinac Policy Conference. Sponsored by the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, Michigan Mutual, and Eastern Michigan Bank.
Welcome back to the Mackinac Policy Conference. Josh Chapman, and today I am joined by, can I call you a local celebrity?
No.
Well, actually, you're a celebrity here too. You're a panel speaker at the
panel speaker
conference?
Tomorrow. Yeah, I've been coming up here a long time.
Yeah.
Probably 15, 20 years.
I was just about to say. So are you the Don
the
Dada?
oldest?
Well, I wasn't gonna say. I was gonna say something cool. So for in all seriousness, so for folks, you were responsible for bringing me to Mackinac, and many, I'm sure. What is the impetus or the thing that got you going, and why do you think it's so important that you participate in this kind of work?
Yeah, it was really probably, like I said, 15, 20 years ago when the Atchison group brought me up here, Don and Easter and Doug Austin and Jim Atchison, as a way to start building relationships, right? You've got to know people on a first name basis. You got to look at their face, get to know them as a person, as a human, and make those connections, right? Yeah. St. Clair County doesn't operate in an island. We're connected, so we've been coming up here for a long time, getting to know people, opening up doors to relationships. So it's been great.
And can you point to, our contingent is 20 something strong from multi-sector, a multi-sector background.
Yeah.
Can you point to any specific projects or tangible things that have come from this time investment in Mackinac?
For sure. I mean, the biggest one that comes to mind is the Bridge to Bay Trail support, right? So we've had DNR support, Wilson Foundation support, SEMCOG backs us up and supports us. Without the networking and relationships that we start up here or further cement up here, right, and build those up here, the Bridge to Bay Trail wouldn't be making the progress it does back home, right? Because you can sit up here with people, you can talk about strategy, you can talk about funding mechanisms and layers of funding, and then bring those back to Port Huron and St. Clair County.
Yeah, and I think that segues into the next topic. The Bridge to Bay Trail learning, and we've had several themes along the conference. Yeah. And a big one is talent attraction. And obviously, when we look at talent attraction, something like the Bridge to Bay Trail is important, right? Because when you can pick anywhere in the world that you want to live, as work becomes more remote, you got to differentiate. What are some of the things that you're looking to accomplish, here in Mackinac, but maybe broader? From the Community Foundation in terms of talent attraction.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Placemaking feeds the reason people want to live somewhere, right? And in this world, if you want to live somewhere, you're going to look at amenities in the community. But then you've got to say, all right, what else are the reasons we're not attracting talent, or why aren't we retaining talent? And that's a very complicated scenario to unpack, right? There's multiple layers to it. When it comes to what we want to accomplish up here, there's just a few little things that don't seem to be getting traction. One, for example, if we provide incentives, a talent attraction incentive for someone to move back to Michigan, that's taxed as income. It would be a little carrot nugget of support if the state could pass legislation that says, for any talent attraction incentives, where people are relocating back to Michigan or coming to Michigan, we won't tax that income.
And can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's huge. So what you're talking about, if I understand this correctly, if Randy says, hey, Josh, you got an employee, we'll help pay you $10,000 in coming back, and you're saying that that's taxed $4,000, whatever that ends up being.
Despite the fact the state talks a lot about talent attraction and talent retention, there are many community foundations around the state that are interested in attracting talent back to Michigan. Let us use our financial resources. We went down this path because the Come Home Reverse Scholarship, which is now a national model.
And that started
in Port Huron. Yeah, we invented that in 2017. Yeah. That program pays scholarships on the back end. So after you leave college, if you move home, we'll pay off your debt. Yeah. At the federal level, it's taxed, and at the state level, it's taxed. But Josh, if up until the day you graduate college, I can pay off all your debt. The day before, I can pay off $20,000 of debt, and it's not taxed at the federal level or the state level. The day after you graduate, it's taxed. That does not make sense, especially when you look at the volume of student debt most people carry. They're carrying that 10, 15, 20 years after they graduate college. We're not technically allowed to help them, and if we do find a way to help them, they're going to tax the income, right? So to me, a scholarship is a scholarship, no matter when it's paid. Right? I should be allowed to pay it after you graduate, and it should be tax exempt.
Well, and I think you're getting at the short-sightedness of $3,000 could be the difference of lifetime earning potential, building family, growing the economy, and things like that.
Right.
So what other nuanceable pieces are there in talent attraction, or what are you looking at the local level to help on that front?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, and it's a tough time, right? We need to continue to support immigration, right?
Yeah.
Port Huron, Michigan, the country was built on it.
Yeah.
It's vital to our economy at every single level, right? So we need a place, back to placemaking, we need places that are comfortable and welcoming and rewarding. You can't ignore that if we want to grow population. You can't ignore the immigrant population, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to learn how to attract them and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
We've got to give young people a reason to stay, right? People with families, you've got young kids. What is it you and your wife and your family look for in a region?
Yeah.
More and more foundations are saying we have a role in that space, right? We need to figure out why people stay, why they leave, and what does it take to keep them in Michigan.
And I love having these conversations because a lot of times folks look at the community foundation, it's a fundraising mechanism, but not really understanding it. And if you can touch on really the depth of work that you and your staff get into, it's, you hear Bridge to Bay Trail, you hear rural philanthropy, scholarships, and things like that. What is he talking about? So what is your kind of the Randy Maier lens on the role that philanthropy makes an investment in communities?
A couple of really important points. We don't use tax money. Right? We're bringing private dollars to the table. We have more flexibility than most governments have. What we're really finding out in rural Michigan, those communities have no human resources, little staff, right? The city clerk is also opening the mail. She's paying the bills, right? She's working the contracts. We want to bring to her the capacity to say, all right, we're going to help you put projects to the finish line. We're going to help you find additional funding. You can use ours as match funding. But you really need to build that trust with them. So what our foundation does, in just our little piece of Michigan, we've got 13 communities now in our rural portfolio. We're trying to walk alongside them, but it's a multi-year commitment. Right? You don't do these projects in a year or 6 months. So you've got to be able to sustain that support, right, and keep that trust with them. So we're all about places. Small town Michigan, right, is actually doing very well. I think there's a narrative out there that's not totally accurate. Small town Michigan is great. We're trying to support that. Placemaking, young adult success, right? In the tough part of that, and I know we don't have a lot of time to get into it, is not just college. Right? College is fine for a lot of people. But boy, there's a lot of other space and room for people to grow and prosper in skilled trades and entrepreneurship. And more foundations are trying to find their niche in that lane.
Yeah, and I love it. Before I let you go, I loved what you said. The investment that you make into place with private dollars. In the St. Clair County region, do you have any stats over the last year, 5 years, anything like that, on how much real, tangible investment the community foundation has made?
Yeah, it's impressive. So just since 2000. $4.2 million have been provided back to local units of government, fire departments, police departments, city projects, county level projects. When I saw that number, and that's just from our little foundation, right? We're just a small fish, $4.2 million just since the year 2000, just to support the project and programs of local government.
And that essentially offsets tax revenue. So
offsets
you've
tax
been
revenue.
Able to support municipalities with 4.2.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, that's amazing work. So.
Far more than if we were to be taxed for our work. That tax revenue could never make up that $4.2 million we provide back, right? So we're funneling our profits back into our communities at a pretty surprising rate.
If you have a problem and you need to get rid of $4.2 million,
let you know.
You let me know. That. So, Randy, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you for the work that you do and enjoy your time up here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us from the Mackinac Policy Conference.
To hear more from this conversation, visit thumbcoast.tv.